What's up everyone, Kaze no What If is here with What If Naruto had a leveling system. Before we start, if you like the video, like it, share with your friends, comment, and let's start the video. Streets of Konohagakure. Naruto wandered back to his apartment with Iruka sensei, who kindly volunteered to take the clothing bags. Naruto had also prevailed upon him to keep his graduation outfit at his house, just in case someone broke into his apartment and wrecked it. Iruka had developed a pained look at that but had acceded to Naruto's request, as long as Naruto promised to actually pay attention in class and not paint bomb Mizuki when he entered the classroom again. Begrudgingly, Naruto had agreed, but he privately started planning to paint bomb Mizuki anywhere but the academy. Iruka-sensei, you know all those weapons back at Higurashi's? Naruto asked. Yeah. Iruka replied, thinking of saving up to buy one. I dunno. Naruto admitted, I can't really see the point buying one if I fail the exam because of that damn Bunshin no Jutsu again. The Chunin sensei nodded at that. Naruto was excellent at the Henge no Jutsu, and had some skill with the Kawarimi no Jutsu, but kept stumbling at the basic illusory clone Jutsu. I can see how that might impact your decision, he admitted. I'll mention it to Hokage-sama, alright. He should be able to figure something out, maybe an exemption of some sort. A student who couldn't mold chakra externally last year was granted an exemption, although he was ranked as the dead last because of it. He's one of Tenten's teammates right now. How the hell is that fair? Naruto grumbled, I can use the Henge and Kawarimi but failed. This guy can't even do that. All I can't do is that stupid illusion clone that is so useless it might as well not exist. Naruto. Iruka sighed. He knew that the blonde wasn't being cruel or mean. On the contrary, he had a point. Someone who wasn't even able to use chakra properly for any the Academy 3 had graduated, while Naruto had failed twice because he was unable to perform one of them properly. Another good point Naruto had made was about the Bunshin. It was a very useless technique that was rarely, if ever, used post-graduation because any shinobi could distinguish the illusions from the original, as the illusions had no shadows. The guidelines merely say that graduates have to demonstrate mastery of a Bunshin no Jutsu. It isn't specifically stated that it has to be the Bunshin no Jutsu, just a Bunshin no Jutsu. Iruka considered before nodding. I'll have a word with Hokage-sama, Naruto the scar-faced Chunin promised. I have an idea that might work, but I have to run it past him first. Oh. Okay. Naruto nodded, I was wondering what kind of weapons would suit me better. Not any polearm weapons. Iruka said immediately, nor anything too heavy, like a mace, so spears and the like are out, as are hammers or maces. Notaki fall under long weapons as well. Naruto muttered, ditto for katana. What about a kodaki or a pair of tanto? Iruka looked thoughtful at that. You do seem like the kind to get up close and personal with your enemies, where the tanto blades would do quite a bit of damage. And the kodaki can be used for when you need a bit of extra reach. Yeah, those three sound like a good investment to make. Yosha. Naruto declared, now to start saving up for them. How much do tanto and kodaki cost anyway? Well. Iruka looked thoughtful as they approached Naruto's building. At an average shop, an ordinary pair of tanto is about 10,000 ryo, with an ordinary kodaki being about double that. At Higurashi's the stuff is pretty good for only 500 ryo more. This might take a while. Naruto concluded, well, thanks for your help to for the love of Kami. Again. Naruto and Iruka stopped outside Naruto's apartment window, which was, once again, smashed to pieces, with the stench of rotting dog turds wafting out from within. Great. Naruto grumbled, well, I'd better deal with this. See you tomorrow, Iruka-sensei. The Chunin nodded tightly as he watched his student enter his apartment and close the door quietly. Iruka started towards the Hokage Tower via the rooftops. he had yet another interesting report to give to the military dictator of Kanahagakure no Sato, one that he doubted the leader of the village would be happy to receive. With Naruto. Once he had dealt with the dog crap, Naruto set about repairing the window again. At the end of it, he leveled up his skill to level 28. Right, that's that. Naruto huffed as he dismissed the window and sat down on his crappy sofa. Now why the heck did I get such a good break with higurashis? Most weapon shops chuck me out as soon as they see me. Thinking about it, he remembered they had mentioned something about this kind of thing. He commanded, making the desired screen appear in midair before him. Now let's see here, aha. The box popped up almost immediately, so Naruto started to read the description. Your reputation, as mentioned in the introduction, is how you stand with individual people, groups, organizations, towns, and countries. The higher your reputation with any of the previously mentioned categories, the better. Reputation is divided into 9 levels and each has a bonus or penalty to your interactions with those at that level. At war, whomsoever bears this level is against you without question. Minus 60% to any reputation gains to people in this group, plus 10 to all combat-related actions against them. Hated, the bearer of this level despises you for whatever reason. Minus 45% to any reputation gains with people on this level, minus 30% to if in the same party. Disliked, people on this level do not like you at all. Minus 30% to all reputation gains with people on this level, minus 15% to if in the same party. Unfriendly, while not against you, this level means that they don't exactly welcome you with open arms either. 10% to all reputation gains with people on this level, minus 5% to if in the same party. Neutral, not for you, not against you. Hell, people on this level might not even know you. No buffs or debuffs at this level. Friendly, people on this level like you. You're a friend. Plus 10% to reputation gains, plus 5% to if in the same party. Well liked, you're a buddy, you're a pal. Plus 20% to reputation gains, plus 10% to if in the same party. Honored, you are treated with great respect and friendliness. Plus 25% to reputation gains, plus 15% to if in the same party. Exalted, you've reached the top. Utmost love, respect, and friendliness at this level. Plus 30% to reputation gains, plus 20% to if in the same party, with an additional plus 10% if the reputation bar is maxed out. The effects of reputation with shops is an increase or decrease in discounts, availability of rare weapons and armor and if they'll serve you or not. You can gain reputation with people by completing quests, saying something they agree with or saving their lives, in extreme situations. Reputation can be lost by failing quests, saying something they disagree with or allowing them to become hurt when you could have prevented it. Holy shit! Naruto exclaimed, this explains a bit, but how do I raise reputation? Impatiently, Naruto closed the and said aloud. A window popped up fairly quickly, but was occluded rather swiftly by another. Okay, got it? Naruto muttered as he got rid of the intro page. Now let's see here. There were 5 categories, and the tab was grayed out, as, he presumed, he wasn't known to even Hai no Kuni outside of Konoha yet. Shrugging, he tapped the tab, making another window appear. There was a load of grayed out question marks, which meant he didn't know the people who they represented. Almost uniformly, they were labeled as either hated or disliked, with a smattering of unfriendly and neutral here and there. Moving down the list, it was actually kinda depressing to see how many people hated him. He stopped scrolling when he came to an actual name that made his heart swell with joy. Sarutobi Hiruzen, honored. Gigi. Naruto said softly as he tapped the name of his honorary grandfather. Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage, is Uzumaki Naruto's sponsor at the Konohagakure Shinobi Academy and is something of a surrogate grandfather to the boy. Naruto's determination to never give up, despite the odds against him, makes Hiruzen just as determined to try and protect him from those who seek to bring him low, frequently clashing with upstanding citizens in order to do so. A warm feeling filled Naruto as he read this. He knew that his Jiji cared for him, but this just proved it beyond a shadow of a doubt. The blonde orphan swore without delay not to give up, no matter what happened to him. Closing the pop-up screen, Naruto started scrolling down again. One well-liked only had a question mark for a name, which was confusing. Someone liked him despite Naruto himself not knowing who they were? What was with that? Further down the screen, he finally discovered his classmates, well, 8 of them anyway. Harano Sakura unfriendly, 500/2000 Hyuga Hinata, honored, 3780/9000 Nara Shikamaru, friendly, 1587/2000 Akimichi Koji, friendly, 1487/2000 Yamanaka Ino, neutral, 456/1000 Uchiha Suzuki, unfriendly, 125/2000 Inyazuka Kiba, neutral, 1687/1000 Abarame Shino, neutral, 900/1000. What the hell? Naruto said in surprise. He was expecting Sakura to dislike him, ditto for Ino, Hinata. Oh, the dark-haired weird girl that faints whenever I go near her? How the hell am I honored with her? I've only said maybe 2 words to her in the last 2 years. Pondering that for a moment, Naruto shook his head before returning to the rest of his classmates. Koji, Shikamaru, and Suzuki were no surprise. He had always gotten on well with the first 2 and had a kind of rivalry with the team. Kiba was a bit of a surprise. He had thought they were on better terms than that. Shino wasn't a surprise. Naruto had hardly spoken to him any more than Hinata, who still puzzled him. Shrugging at the mystery of the weird fainting girl, Naruto moved down and spotted 2 more names he knew. Umino Irika, well liked, 3520/4000 Toji Mizuki, -0/10,000. For some reason, he couldn't see his standing with Mizuki, but judging by the fact that he had concealed a look of intense dislike towards Naruto and the seriously high number of points needed to move to the next level compared to the others he'd seen. It was either exalted or at war, and Naruto wasn't naive enough to hope it was exalted. You have deduced something important. Your WIS goes up by 1. Ignoring the window that popped up to one side, Naruto watched as Mizuki's entry changed from 3 question marks to at war. He knew that this meant he could not let himself be alone with the blue-haired teacher, as there was no telling what he might do. Scrolling down further, he spotted Tenten. Higurashi Tenten, friendly 500/2000. Why the heck is someone I've just met so friendly to me? Naruto wondered as he tapped her name. The adopted daughter of Higurashi Tatsuhiko and Kani, Tenten can sympathize with a fellow orphan well. Being introduced by her old academy sensei doesn't hurt either. I guess that makes sense. Naruto nodded. Closing the panel, he tapped on the name and started scanning that one. Sadly, most of the stores, restaurants, and cafes on the list were almost universally aligned to hated. The few exceptions stood out like sore thumbs. Ichiraku Ramen, exalted, 10,000/10,000. Konohagakure Shinobi Academy, neutral, 241/1000. Higurashi Weapons and Ninja Apparel, well liked, 1567/4000. 3 stores out of about 50. Seriously. Ichiraku's wasn't a surprise, as he'd been visiting the ramen stand ever since he was 4. 5. The academy being neutral was a surprise, but then again, the Chunin sensei had to keep to high standards to be able to teach, and the Hokage kept a very close eye on their activities there, so they didn't exactly have any choice but to be even-handed with him. Higurashi's was a surprise as well. Naruto had never even heard of the shop before today, though he vaguely recalled seeing Tenten sometime last year getting picked up by a man who looked like he juggled boulders in his spare time. Deciding that he had scoped out his reputation enough for one day, Naruto closed the windows and opened his flaws screen. Time to find out what this game said was wrong about him. Eyesore. Pariah. Headstrong. As he already knew what the flaw was, and had already taken steps to counter it, he decided to start with. For some reason, the people around you shun and ignore you, almost to the point of you being ostracized. Minus 15% to reputation gains with civilian members of Konohagakure who are aware of why you are a. Minus 5% to reputation gains with members of the Konohagakure shinobi forces who are aware of why you are. This flaw can be removed over time, partially or as a whole, with enough hard work to change the populace's opinion of you by raising your standing with first to well-liked, then to exalted. That sucks ass. Naruto deadpanned. Seriously. He quickly checked his reputation with Konoha as a whole and shook his head. Konohagakure no Sato, disliked, 234/4000. That's going to take forever to do. Naruto bemoaned before a look of determination came over his face, but Uzumaki Naruto never gives up Databia. A window popped up just as he finished that thought. An uphill struggle. In order to get your reputation out of the mud, you have to do things for the people of Konoha. Accept quests, stop pranking people, the works. Only through determined effort can you change the opinions of those around you. Quest completion reward, acceptance by the people of Konoha. Quest failure, death. Accept. Great. Another quest that he can't refuse. The fact he will supposedly die if he failed this quest was more than slightly worrisome, but he had no choice in accepting it or not. Tapping the Y button, Naruto quickly shut the window that talked about and opened. You are stubborn, intractable, and hard-headed. Orders are something that happens to other people, and advice is only applicable when you have tried to do the same thing over and over again your own way without success. Plus 10% to STHX. Minus 30% to. This flaw can be removed over time by being more dutiful in following orders and accepting advice offered by teachers and fellow classmates. Oi! Naruto grumbled, no one's ever offered me advice except Chiji and Irake-sensei, and there are good reasons why I can't do what they say. Such as going to the library to study, eating something other than ramen. Wearing something that isn't orange, stuff like that. The first is impossible because he's banned from the library for no reason, the second is because no one else will serve him other than the Ichirakus, and the last is because these jumpsuits were all he could buy from anywhere. Granted, he was stubborn. Naruto was well aware that he could act like an ornery old mule when he dug his heels in, but there were advantages to being stubborn. Even this flaw admitted that. So maybe I should be stubborn without being intractable. Naruto pondered aloud, maybe. Closing the two windows, Naruto brought up his status window and looked over his actual stats first. Name, Uzumaki Naruto. Class, the gamer. Level, 5. Next level, 43.87%. Title, Academy student. Age, 12 HP, 700/700 CP, 700/700 STR, 13 STA, 25 Dex, 13 Int, 15 WIS, 10 Luck. Okay, so my STR, Dex, and Int are about average, my WIS is still below average, my Luck is Kami-sama knows what, and my STA is pretty damn high. Naruto summed his stats up fairly quickly. Now, why the heck are there minuses next to all my physical stats? He tapped the 5 next to his STR stat and was shocked slightly when a loud chime sounded. followed swiftly by another window popping up. Your diet is poor, limited, and unhealthy. You are not growing properly and may never reach your full height. -5 From all physical stats. This flaw can be remedied by eating a varied diet of different foods, rather than a ramen-exclusive diet. The hell? Naruto was beside himself at this. Yes, he ate a lot of ramen, but for it to get to the point that it was affecting his health. The blonde boy sighed. Not much I can do about it, I'll have to have a think about what I can do. Closing the status window, he then went back to the and opened the perks window. Perks are the opposite of flaws. They are unique traits and quirks of yours that are separate from your special statuses. While most perks are overwhelmingly positive, they do occasionally come with some demerits. These can be mitigated to some extent, but don't get your hopes up of that actually happening, as it is a lot of work to do so. You can gain or lose perks as you go through life, and occasionally, weapons or armor will grant you a perk for as long as you have it equipped, although these are exceptionally rare items. For more information on your perks, please visit your perks page. Okay, something positive for a change. Naruto praised. He closed the and opened the page. Benton's blessing. Outside the box. Benton? One of the 7 lucky gods? Seriously? Naruto said with a head shake as he tapped the first perk. The goddess Benton has blessed your life. You will go through much hardship, but your luck at gambling, in combat, and random rewards is almost like a cheat code. Passively increases the chance of a rare drop from enemies by 50%. Passively increases your chances of winning at games of chance by 50%. Passively increases your chances of receiving a random reward at the end of a quest by 30%. Passively increases your chance of random encounters in dungeons and field dungeons by 50%. Warning, this perk can be lost by giving up on your goals. Uzumaki Naruto doesn't give up, so that ain't happening. Naruto scoffed, so this is the reason why my luck stat is a question mark. Met. Shit happens. Closing that window, Naruto then tapped on his only other perk. Most people have this thing called a box that they use to think in, making them predictable. You do not think like this. You think outside the box, flexibly and from a fresh perspective, although this does have the slight disadvantage of making you less able to use conventional wisdom. Plus 50 per level 2. Plus 20% EXP2. Minus 30% EXP2. This perk cannot be lost as it is a part of your way of thinking. Well, some good news there. Naruto muttered. Really, who would want to think inside a box? Boring. Well, that should do it, the blonde boy sighed. Now to Ichiraku's. Naruto ran out to his favorite eatery, deciding to return to reviewing his abilities after his brunch. Same time. With Irika, Hokage Tower. The atmosphere inside the Hokage's office was so tense that Irika was certain that he could cut it with a kunai. The face of Sarutobi Hiruzen was as hard as granite as he stared into space. So, just to make sure I have all the facts, the Hokage said slowly, Naruto-kun's apartment has been vandalized at least once a week since he was 7. After the first 50 times, the landlord forced Naruto-kun to start replacing the window himself, although he did supply proper tools and materials for the repairs, at least. Now Naruto-kun is at least as skilled as an apprentice joiner when it comes to putting in a window. In addition, someone, likely the person responsible for smashing his window in the first place, has started throwing decomposing canine excrement into Naruto-kun's apartment as well. Is that an accurate summation? Hi, Hokage-sama. Irika replied nervously. Sarutobi sighed. I truly have failed Naruto-kun to allow this to go on for so long. 5 years. Well, No more. Nico. Hi, Hokage-sama, the same purple-haired female Umbu from the last time Irika had been here appeared in the same place as before. Set a team to monitoring Naruto-kun's apartment tonight. I want whoever is responsible for this caught. I shall see to it myself, Hokage-sama. Nico replied before vanishing in a puff of smoke. I must thank you for informing me of this, Irika-kun. Sarutobi said with a small smile. I suspect that Naruto-kun didn't want to worry me about his situation, although I will have a word with him next Friday about telling me when something like this has been going on. It was the right thing to do, Hokage-sama. Irika said modestly. I do have another subject to bring up that is related to Naruto. Oh. Sarutobi looked at the Chunin and motioned for him to continue. Naruto remarked, on our way back to his home, that he couldn't see the point in learning the Bunshin no Jutsu. Irika said carefully, I am forced to agree with him. Any shinobi or fighter of reasonable experience can distinguish illusion from reality. In addition, I have observed him whenever he tries to perform the Bunshin. It actually makes him flinch in pain to try and perform it. That is because of his vast chakra reserves. Sarutobi nodded. As an Uzumaki, he is naturally gifted with larger than average chakra reserves, which is compounded by the presence of the Kyuubi within him. He currently has high Chunin reserves and he still has much growing to do. I suspect he will surpass my own reserves in less than 5 years. For him to attempt to use the Bunshin with the amount of chakra he possesses and the low amount of control he possesses is plain impossible. I see, Hokage-sama, I request permission to teach Naruto the tree climbing and water walking exercises. Irika said formally. The academy chakra control exercises are plainly not working for him and he is becoming frustrated with his progress in this area. Granted. Sarutobi nodded. I suspect you wish to teach him an alternate Bunshin technique as well, correct? Hi. I have reviewed the graduation rules and they state that a graduate must create at least 3 Bunshin in order to graduate. Irika replied, it does not state what kind of Bunshin, merely a Bunshin. I see. Most would agree that the elemental clone techniques are not suited for the graduation test, but I see no reason why he cannot learn them. Sarutobi mused, see what his element is and then teach him either the Mizu Bunshin or the Iwa Bunshin if he possesses the requisite affinity. What if he possesses fire, wind, or lightning? Irika asked. Then he shall have to learn the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, the Hokage replied. With his reserves, that would be easy for him to accomplish. In fact, teach him the Kage Bunshin even if he has an affinity for water or earth. Are you sure you want to inflict an army of Naruto on the Umbu? Irika asked with a small smile. Bah! They are Umbu, they have had training in resisting torture. Sarutobi said cheerfully. You are evil, Hokage-sama. 3 voices accused the village leader from nowhere. Ninja. Sarutobi smirked. With Naruto. After a truly gastronomic experience at Ichiriku's, Naruto headed back to his apartment and was pleasantly surprised to discover his window wasn't broken this time. Well, what do ya know? Naruto shrugged. He settled down on the lone, rather battered, armchair and decided to view his skills. When he brought the window up, he spotted 2 skills he had never seen before. Allows the user to calmly and logically think things through. Allows peaceful state of mind. Immunity to psychological mass effect. Immune to killing intent from any opponent within 20 levels of yourself. Immune to fear-inducing or terror-inducing genjutsu. Immune to hypnotism. Grants the user a body to live life like a video game. Immune to physical damage, but not the pain. Sleeping in a bed fully restores HP/CP. Sleeping in a tent restores HP/CP by 75% of total amount. Sleep and Gun, an improvised surface, restores HP/CP by 50% of maximum amount. So kick-ass. Naruto cheered. Now he didn't have to worry about being terrified by reasonably strong people on missions, or people hypnotizing him. Better than that, he didn't have to worry about people cutting off his arms or legs. Scrolling down once he had recovered from his celebration, Naruto spotted the first skill he had made. It had, unbeknownst to him, leveled up a few times now. Allows the user to detect any killing intent within a set distance. With increased levels, the exact location of the key can be determined, as well as the name of the person emitting the key. Range, 50 meters. Chance of homing in on key location, 5%. I wondered what those windows were that kept popping up in the middle of the street. Naruto shrugged. Man, people really glared at him a lot if it's gone up 4 levels in just a day. His end skills weren't too bad either, but they had only gone up a couple of levels and the bonuses they gave hadn't changed at all. Naruto frowned as he looked at his skills. 12 skills, and only 9 of them had anything to do with shinobi skills. He frowned as he thought about it for a moment. When he had created the skill, he had known how to do it beforehand, but had been handicapped by having stupid display shuriken instead of proper training shuriken, so the skill had been created immediately. Closing the windows, Naruto ran through the hand signs for the Henge no Jutsu. Henge. He transformed into an exact copy of Iruka, right down to the smallest detail. He transformed into perfect replicas of several other people before the expected window popped up. A basic shinobi skill and one of the Academy 3 in all of the hidden villages of the elemental nations. This jutsu transforms you into anyone or anything. Unlike most shinobi, you are able to use it as an actual physical transformation, rather than a mere illusion. 10 CP per minute upkeep to use. Reverting to his ordinary body, Naruto gaped at the window in astonishment. So he had created an entirely new jutsu, rather than use the one that the rest of the world used. Cool. Next, he grabbed one of his practice logs and performed the Kawarimi no Jutsu until he developed that skill as well. A basic shinobi skill and one of the Academy 3 in all the hidden villages of the elemental nations. This jutsu allows you to switch places with something in an instant. The higher the level, the smaller the object can be that you replace yourself with. A very high level indeed is required to switch positions with someone with more chakra than yourself. Smallest size of object you can replace yourself with, jam jar size. Again, cool. Naruto grinned. He had practiced those two jutsu quite a bit in the last 2 years, so it wasn't really a surprise that he had maxed out the henge and come damn close with the kawarimi. That just leaves the kami-forsaken Bunchin, he sighed. Running through the 3 hand signs, Naruto declared dully, Bunchin no Jutsu. In an explosion of smoke, 3 sickly-looking illusion clones appeared before vanishing. A small window appeared after that and the blonde read it quickly. You have not met the prerequisites in order to properly utilize this skill. You require 30% of max CP in order to use this skill. Please try again once you have fulfilled the prerequisites. Naruto could only stare dumbly at the window. He had to have chakra control equal to 30% of his chakra points. That was, at a conservative estimate, something like 210. With his CP going up by 100 every level, it would be impossible to use that jutsu. Keep calm. Iruka-sensei said he'd have a word with Jiji about this. Things will be fine, he thought with enforced calm. Moving past that, Naruto wondered what else he could do. Yesterday, he had run through the kata of the Academy Heikage style and hadn't gained so much as a single experience point, which meant he had to actually fight or spar with someone in order to level his taijutsu up. So what did that leave? He didn't want to practice the Kawarimi no Jutsu for too long, as that made him dizzy after about an hour, And he had already maxed out the Henge no Jutsu. Wait a minute. What about my stealth and trapping skills? Naruto hurriedly checked through his 14 skills and saw that neither were there. Right. Time to remedy that. Naruto cackled, rubbing his hands together as he started planning to execute what would be his last prank for a few months. Now where did I put the glue and feathers? Half an hour later. Get back here you brat, howled one of the Chunin chasing Naruto. The entire group was covered from head to toe in glue and bright pink feathers that Naruto had found in a box outside his apartment one day. Naruto was grinning like a hyena as he led the pack of Chunin on quite the merry chase through the streets of Konoha. This had been the best idea yet. He had received both of the skills he had set out to gain and 3 points to his STR from all the running around. Immediately to the left. Not questioning the window, Naruto threw himself to the right just in the nick of time as a ninjato slashed down where Naruto had been running not 2 seconds ago. Ryato, one of the feathered pursuers barked sharply, "What the hell do you think you are doing?" The man with the ninjato snarled in a drunken way as he tried to stab Naruto with his blade. He wasn't one of the feathered pursuers. His clothes were filthy and smelled of stale beer and cheap hooch. The only thing that was remotely clean about him was the blade he wielded. The ninjato looked as if it had been obsessively and meticulously polished, sharpened, oiled, and tended for years. The sharp edge cut through the air with a distinctly high whistle as he chased Naruto along the street. Shit. What the hell? Naruto yelped as he avoided being shish kebabed by the sword yet again, the sword glinting in the sunlight as it flashed past Naruto in slow motion from his perspective. Ryato. Stop this at once, one of the Pink Feather Brigade yelled, this is ridiculous. Fuck off, the man bellowed as he clumsily slashed at Naruto again. The blonde orphan was very, very glad that he was so lucky as he fled towards the Hokage Tower. 2 back blurs shot over Naruto and a strangled grunt of pain came from the pursuing man. Risking a peek over his shoulder, Naruto could see 2 Umbu operatives restraining the man. Deciding that it was time to make like a tree and leaf, Naruto snuck away, deciding to spend the rest of the day trying to create skills from the safety and sanctity of his apartment. Just in case. The next day. Final year classroom, Konohagakure Shinobi Academy. Naruto was feeling more than slightly depressed. Why, might you ask? The answer is simple, every single person in the entire damned classroom that was on his reputation page was a higher level than he was. LV7, Harano Sakura. LV8, Yamanaka Ino. LV12, Uchiha Sasuke. LV9, Nara Shikamaru. LV8, Akimichi Koji. LV10, Hyuga Hinata. LV10, Abarame Shino. LV7, Inyazuka Kiba. He felt like banging his head off of the wall. How the hell was he going to catch up to them before graduation? He was level 5, which was 1 level above most of the civilian-born students. He had a lot of catching up to do. Much to his lack of surprise, a window popped up in front of him. Welcome to the Konohagakure Shinobi Academy. Here, you will be learning the basics of the shinobi arts. Study hard and you will be rewarded for your hard work. Currently you are in the academic position of. Should you graduate at this level, you will automatically be assigned to the same team as the 2 holding the positions of end. Oh, hell no. Naruto muttered, I am not going to be assigned to the same team as the team, even if Sakura-chan is there too. Oi, dope. Sasuke called, what's with the new clothes? Naruto looked down. He was wearing his black Amakusa-style trousers and shirt, and his shower had started working properly, so he didn't smell. He hadn't even had to clean up a mess this morning as his window hadn't been smashed. Discarding his jumpsuits and putting his new wardrobe on had finally gotten rid of the flaw, which was a big relief for Naruto. Met. Decided it was time for a change, team, he replied cockily, you might wanna consider a new style as well, those little boy shorts of yours make you look like a kid. Naruto baka. Sakura shouted, stop talking to Sasuke-kun like that. Come on Sakura-chan. Naruto whined, even you have to admit that they make him look childish. Troublesome. Shikamaru mumbled, Naruto's right, so please be quiet. Shikamaru. Ino scowled at her childhood friend, what about Koji? He wears shorts. Yeah, but now Naruto mentions it, I should be wearing trousers. Koji spoke up as he munched on chips, Tio-yu-chan and Ka-chan have been after me to wear some armor on my legs, so this is as good a time as any to update my stuff. Naruto, where'd you get the duds? Higurashis. Naruto replied. Wow. You like the high-end stuff, don't you? The rotund boy asked, slightly impressed at Naruto's choice in clothes, that's where I'll go then. Another window popped up once the conversation shifted away from Naruto. Clothes make the man quest complete. Quest completion reward, plus 500 EXP, plus 30 Academy Shuriken. Secret objective, impress at least 2 classmates with your new threads, complete. Secret objective reward, plus 200 reputation with Akimichi Koji, plus 200 reputation with Yamanaka Ino, plus 200 reputation with Hayagahi Hinata. Nice. Naruto mentally cheered, today rocks. Same time. A cell, Umbu-Tian-I department. The man secured to the chair before Sarutobi cut a very pathetic figure indeed. Stripped of his clothes and weapon, flanked on both sides by Umbu, he sagged in his bonds, knowing that he was in deep shit. Kagami Ryato. Sarutobi's voice was as cold and unforgiving as glacial ice, you have been accused of several minor charges in the past, but because of your actions today, I can no longer allow you to remain in Konoha. You deliberately attacked an academy student with a weapon, with the intent to kill or maim him. What do you have to say for yourself? He's the demon, not a boy, the man's hoarse voice said gruffly, he's helpless, so he should die. My brother's sword thirsts for his blood. Sarutobi sighed. Kagami Shinzo had been one of the many Chunin who had helped to fight against the Kyuubi 12 years previously. He had fought well, but had been killed by a falling building. The man before him, Shinzo's brother, had been a genin at the time, but had quit the shinobi forces after he had been informed about his brother's death. Since then, he had tried to find solace at the bottom of every sake bottle he could find, as well as every other kind of alcoholic beverage he could lay his hands on. I have explained this quite a few times to the clan heads. Sarutobi said patiently, even if someone killed Naruto, the Kyuubi wouldn't die with him. You can no more kill it than you could juggle a set of mountains. In a few years, a decade at most, the Kyuubi would reform and likely come back to finish what it started 12 years ago, making your brother's sacrifice worthless. And no. That. Ryato seemed thunderstruck by Sarutobi's words. As you attacked Naruto-kun in front of 7 Chunin, the evidence is more than sufficient for me to find you guilty. Sarutobi said harshly, I find your reason for attacking an academy student insufficient and thus sentence you to the maximum sentence allowed by the law. You are hereby sentenced to a decade in the Konoha Military Police Prison, with no hope of reduced sentence or parole for at least 5 years. Umbu, make certain he is placed in a mid-level security cell. Hi, Hokage-sama, the Umbu nodded. Sarutobi made his way out of the cell and headed for the next one over, to have words with the other person of interest that had been caught by Nico and Saru last night. Well now, he said as the culprit writhed in her restraints. He had been surprised that it was a female, but then wondered why he had been surprised. Females could be far more vindictive than males given the right stimulus. Who do we have here? Takujo Mitarashi. Anko, grinning like she had just been handed a lifetime supply of dango. This is a failed genin candidate from just after the Kyubi. She's one of the Harano clan, Harano Isuka. What is her relation to academy student Harano Sakura? Sarutobi questioned. Second cousin. Isuka-chan here was the first member of the Harano clan to try and become a genin, but she didn't make the cut. Anko replied after checking her notes. Now then, Isuka-chan, care to tell Hokage-sama what he wants to know, or will I have to familiar with how you scream? It's a demon. Isuka bit out as she thrashed in her bonds. I've been trying to make it give up by harassing it, but the damn demon just won't give up. Who the hell has that kind of determination as a kid? Naruto-kun does have a way with surprising people with how determined he is. Sarutobi chuckled darkly. Now, are you working alone or are there cohorts that need to be rounded up? I worked alone. Isuka snarled. Lie. Anko remarked lazily as she backhanded the woman across the face. Tell the truth or that will seem like a love tap. A member of the Inyazuka clan got me the dog crap from the waste bins, but he didn't know what it was for, the Harano woman said shortly. Good. That means that the punishment falls squarely on you and the Harano clan. Sarutobi said, let's see now. 0.5 years of broken windows, once a week minimum, twice a week on occasion, not to mention several cases of improper disposal of waste. I'm afraid this goes beyond simple vandalism. I will discuss the matter with Naruto-kun and your clan head in order to determine the punishment suitable for an ongoing regime of harassment. For now, you will be taken to a holding cell until such time as your punishment is determined. The woman scowled at Sarutobi but said nothing. Anko, escort her to T&I's holding cells and make sure it's an isolated cell. We don't want people thinking that she's getting off with a slap on the wrists. Point 2. Gotcha, old man. Anko grinned as she looked down at Harano Isuka. She won't be going anywhere. Isuka had the feeling that the holding cell couldn't come fast enough. 2 hours later with Naruto was bored. Seriously, he knew he had to raise his grades, but listening to Iruka-sensei drone on about the ninja code was very much yawn-worthy. Staying awake had made his int go up by 2 already though, so Naruto, utilizing his stubborn willpower, had forced himself to pay attention to the lecture, even although he thought that the ninja code was impossible to apply word for word in the real world. He had read books and pinpointed areas where famous historical shinobi from Konoha had basically ignored the code completely. Iruka had looked at him oddly when Naruto had pointed these people out before telling him that while, in those instances they had broken the rules, overall they had abided by them, so he still had to learn the rules well, if not by heart. That hadn't exactly been the point, but Naruto understood that he had to learn them well enough to pass the thrice accursed written exam for graduation. Afterwards, met. Rules were a guideline only in Naruto's opinion. At length, the bell for lunchtime rang and Naruto quickly found an area of the training yard that was unoccupied, under one of the windows. He had been too spooked by the random attack to review his new skills yesterday, so he quickly called them up. A key skill of any shinobi, this skill allows you to remain undetected by sight, sound, and scent. At higher levels, it allows you to become one with the shadows, making you nigh undetectable to anyone who isn't a chakra sensor. Passively raises chance to avoid detection by sound by 39%. Passively raises chance to avoid detection by scent by 39%. Actively raises chance to avoid detection by sight by 39%. While active, movement speed reduced by 50%, 20 CP/minute to use. When pursued, laying a trap can be the difference between life or death for you and your team. The higher the level, the more varied traps you can make, as well as the faster you can build them. Passively adds 30% to success ratio of trap making. Passively adds plus 30% to trap building speed. Allows the construction of pranking traps, hunting traps, basic snares, and blade traps. Naruto had reviewed the recipes, and the first intermediate blade trap he saw made him shiver to think about inflicting it on someone. Some things were just not done. Especially to men. Above you. Naruto rolled to one side as soon as he saw the message, just in time to avoid a vase full of flowers that had fallen from the window above him. Mizuki had a surprised expression on his face as he saw that Naruto had avoided being brained by the vase. Lick of the devil, the man snarled in his mind as he stalked off. Has leveled up? Yeah, great. Naruto muttered. Now he was going to have to make sure he was careful around windows, door, stairs, and the like, just in case Mizuki was lurking around them. On the bright side, his skills had saved him a headache from getting clonked on the head by the vase. Naruto! Iruka shouted, his head swelling up as he instinctively used the big head jutsu as he stalked across the training field. Pick up those flowers. Mizuki-sensei was the one who knocked them over, not me. Naruto defended himself. On the downside, he was still getting blamed for things that weren't his fault. Great. Chapter 4 After Classes. Training Field, Konohagakure Shinobi Academy. It was a rather pouting Naruto who stood in front of Iruka after the academy was over for the day. He didn't like the fact that he had been punished for something that Mizuki-sensei had done. Why the pout, Naruto? Iruka asked. It was Mizuki-sensei who pushed the vase over and broke it. Naruto grumbled, it almost brained me to be a dot. Iruka smiled. I know, Naruto, but I just needed the excuse to put you in detention so I could train you in the Bunshin no Jutsu alternatives, as authorized by Hokage-sama. This cheered Naruto up immensely. Yada. I knew Jiji would come through for me. Naruto, you should show the Hokage more respect than that. Iruka chided him. Mildly. He's been my Jiji to me longer than he's been the Hokage. Naruto replied, he was the old man in a funny hat that helped me out when the orphanage got tough on me. It's kinda hard to break the habit. Besides, I think he likes being called Jiji. Iruka conceded both of Naruto's points. If the Hokage wanted to make Naruto stop calling him Jiji, he would have done so a long time ago. Okay, moving on to the lesson. Iruka reached into a pocket on his Chunin's vest and pulled out a small square of paper, which he then handed to Naruto. Eh? What's this? Naruto asked as he inspected the paper dubiously. This, my student, is chakra paper. Iruka replied as he went into lecture mode. As you may remember from your classes, a shinobi can use all kinds of ninjutsu, but with the elemental ninjutsu, most shinobi tend to have elemental affinities. This means that there are jutsu you will naturally find easier to use and consume less chakra to use. Okay. Cool. Naruto commented, so what does this have to do with my problem with the Bunshin no Jutsu? I'm getting to that. Iruka replied, there are a considerable number of Bunshin no Jutsu in the world, of which the illusory Bunshin is the least useful, but easiest to learn. For most people, more chakra-intensive clone techniques exist, of which the most basic are elemental clones, the Mizu Bunshin and Iwa Bunshin. If your affinity matches up, I'll teach you how to use them. Alright? What do I do, Iruka-sensei? Naruto asked excitedly. Finally, a way for him to learn a clone jutsu that didn't come out looking like he was dying. Channel chakra a small amount only, into the paper. Iruka directed him, if it crinkles, you are a lightning affinity. If it gets wet, you are a water affinity. If it crumbles, you are an earth affinity. If it catches fire, you are a fire affinity, and if it is cut, you have a wind affinity. Yosha. Let's go. Naruto declared and then carefully channeled some of his chakra into the strip of paper, which did two things. First, it cut in half, and then both halves crumbled slightly. A primary wind affinity, with a weak earth sub-affinity. Irika said with a nod, a good combination of elements. Why's that, Irika-sensei? Naruto asked. Wind is a rare element in Konoha. Heck, it's a rare element in the entire world. Irika explained, it is known as the war element as it is able to attack and defend with equal ease, at the same time even. The downside is that it takes a lot of training to master this element. That sounds kick-ass. Naruto said excitedly. It is, rather. Irika replied with a smile. Earth, on the other hand, offers incredible defensive capabilities, allowing you to reshape the landscape to suit you, set traps hidden beneath the surface and even some pretty nice offensive techniques as well. It is also one of the easiest elements to learn. Why's that? Naruto asked with a confused look on his face. Earth is solid, unchanging, and only moves slowly. Irika explained, it doesn't change much by nature and is thus easy to control. Wind is constantly shifting, changing, and taking different forms, which is why it is so hard to use. I've never thought about it like that. Naruto remarked, anyway, I have an earth affinity, so are you gonna teach me the IWA Bunshin? Yep. Irika nodded, now let's see what the... He began searching his pockets and pouches for something before sighing in exasperation. Somehow, I seem to have misplaced the scroll for the IWA Bunshin no Jutsu. Irika said in resignation, I'll have to go off to the shinobi section of the library and see if I left it there. While I'm gone, you can learn the tree climbing exercise. How will climbing trees help me? Naruto asked in confusion. Without your hands. Watch. Irika went over to the academy building and made the ram hand sign before, much to Naruto's amazement, walking straight up the wall to the top of the building and back down to the ground. So cool. Naruto exclaimed, his eyes shining in amazement. Learning tree climbing is one of the things that your Jonin sensei usually teaches you after graduation, as Tenten said. Irika went into lecture mode again. Your feet are the hardest part of your body to channel chakra to, and so if you can channel chakra there, you can channel chakra anywhere on your body. In addition, it slightly builds your reserves up while doing it. Irika led Naruto to a tree and passed him a kunao. Climb one of these trees and use the kunao to mark your progress. The scar-faced Chunin directed his student, keep your mind clear and do not get frustrated. As I taught you with sealing items in scrolls, experiment with how much chakra to use on each foot. Too little and you'll slide off, too much and you'll be pushed away from the tree. Gotcha, Irika-sensei. Naruto nodded with a grin. With a final admonishment to work hard, Irika vanished in a puff of chakra smoke. Now then. Naruto turned his attention to the skill creation windows he had been ignoring while Irika-sensei had been talking to him. The affinity of wind is rare in the elemental nations, although more are born in Kaze no Kuni than anywhere else. Even those who possess the affinity rarely train it because of the sheer difficulty in mastering it compared to other elements. For those with the determination and perseverance to master it, however, the wind element can be a weapon of unparalleled power and subtlety. Strong against lightning. Weak against fire. Passively reduces the amount of chakra for Futon Jutsu by 1%. Passively increases the effectiveness of Futon Jutsu by 1%. Earth affinities are not uncommon in the elemental nations, although Ishi no Kuni and Tsuka no Kuni are the ones who have more born there than any other country. Earth ninjutsu is seen as primarily an element of defense, but in the right hands one can make traps, launch counterattacks, and even alter the landscape itself. Strong against fire, water. Weak against lightning, wind. Passively decreases the chakra cost of Doton Jutsu by 1%. Passively increases the effectiveness of Doton Jutsu by 1%. Kick-ass. Naruto smirked before spotting the quest window that floated to one side. Climb to the top. Iruka-sensei has given you the task of attempting the tree climbing exercise. Do your best to fulfill his expectations. Quest objective: reach level 2 of the tree climbing exercise before Iruka-sensei returns. Quest completion reward: plus 500 EXP, Doton, IWA Bunshin no Jutsu Scroll, plus 100 reputation with Umino Iruka. Quest failure: Doton, IWA Bunshin no Jutsu Scroll accept? Another quest that I can't ignore. Met. Naruto shrugged as he tapped the Y button. He was going to do this anyway, so the reward was just icing on the cake. Placing one foot on the nearest tree, Naruto made the ram hand sign as Iruka-sensei had done and started channeling a trickle of chakra to his foot, which actually seemed to resist the energy. Gradually and carefully raising the amount of chakra he sent into his foot, he stopped when his foot adhered to the tree bark. Okay, that's about a quarter of what I use for my improved version of the Henge no Jutsu. Now for the other foot. Naruto thought. Quickly reproducing the same amount of chakra in his other foot before placing it on the tree, Naruto then started running up the tree only to fall off after 2 steps. What the hell? Naruto yelped as he fell on his butt. Damn it. Let's try that again. It took more than a few false starts, but eventually, Naruto managed to run up the tree for a few steps before falling down again. After a few repetitions of this, he finally created the skill. As a result of repeated actions, you have created the skill. The tree climbing exercise is one of the first chakra control exercises a fresh genin learns after graduation from the academy. Fulfilling several roles, this training exercise is the forerunner of the more difficult water walking exercise, as well as laying the foundation for the tree jumping skill. Passively increases chakra control by 1%. Passively raises CP by 1%. Actively allows the user to stick to any solid surface that is not a chakra repellent. Costs 15 CP/minute. Yada. Naruto cheered, now to start building this skill up. Apparently, Iruka-sensei wasn't kidding about negative feelings dragging him down. What he had neglected to tell Naruto was that feeling confident actually helped him do better at it. The blonde orphan was giving thanks that, for whatever reason, he had monstrous stamina. Stamina 35 for the win. Naruto thought as he finally managed to get halfway up the tree. He noted the half a dozen or so windows that floated around him, all bearing similar messages. Feel the burn, burn the feeling. Your STR had gone up by 1. Keep on keeping on. Your STA has gone up by 1. 3 each, so his already impressive STA was at 38 now, while his STR was at about 18 or 19. At this rate, he would go all the way up to STA 40 before he leveled up. Speaking of which, has leveled up? Level 1 to 2. Hell yeah. Naruto grinned, let's see how far I can get it before Iruka-sensei gets back. This was typical of Naruto. He saw people who did just enough and no more than that as boring, unambitious, idiots. When he had the choice, he always tried to exceed expectations. When Iruka shunshined back into the clearing, Naruto was still going strong and had just managed to get to level 3 inches. Naruto, you can stop now. Iruka called in amusement. He could tell that the excitable boy hadn't stopped since he had started, yet he was barely winded. How'd I do? Naruto asked with a slight bit of smugness as he waltzed down the tree, only slipping part of the way down. Not bad for an hour's work. Irika said approvingly, sorry it took so long. Somebody tried to book out all the copies of the IWA Bunjin no Jutsu and I had to do meet out guidance to sort things out. Naruto shivered at the cold tone that his favorite teacher had taken. If he had to guess, the boy would say that whoever had gotten on Irika's bad side, not something Naruto had ever aspired to do. Well, at least you managed to get a copy. Naruto said with a cheerfulness he didn't really feel. Someone was trying to get in his way, again. How the hell did these people get their information? He had only asked Irika-sensei about an alternative to the Bunjin yesterday. I did. Here you go Naruto. Irika handed him a scroll that was lined with brown lines. Climb to the top quest completed. You have successfully reached level 2 of. Before Irika returned. Quest completion reward, plus 500 EXP, Doton, IWA Bunjin no Jutsu scroll, plus 100 reputation with Umino Irika. Naruto subtly closed the window as he grinned at the scroll. He was just about to open it when an umbu wearing a cat mask shunshined into the training field in a swirl of leaves. Uzumaki Naruto, the Hokage requests your presence at once, the masked shinobi stated, please accompany me to the Hokage Tower. In the middle of after-school detention. Irika asked with a frown, Hokage-sama arranged the materials to be taught here himself. What could need Naruto's immediate presence, Nico-san? I am sorry, Umino-san, but something disturbing has occurred that requires Uzumaki-san's presence, the umbu replied, rest assured, it will not take long to resolve, but it does require haste to do so. Okay then. Irika sighed, off you go with Nico-san. Naruto nodded and walked over to the umbu, who grabbed his shoulder and vanished with him in another swirl of leaves. The feeling of being carried along in a shunshin was surprisingly unpleasant. Naruto felt himself move at fast speeds, faster than he could run, and he developed tunnel vision from that. By the time he and the umbu materialized in front of the Hokage Tower, he had made a note to work on his awareness so that didn't happen again. Are you alright, Uzumaki-san? Nico asked, side-along shunshins are more turbulent than regular ones. Yeah, I'm good. Naruto replied as his stomach churned slightly, I think I'll walk next time though. Understandable. Nico nodded, now, let's get you to Hokage-sama. In the Hokage's office. Sarutobi Hiruzen rubbed his eyes tiredly as he waited for Naruto to show up. This would not be a pleasant talk for the boy. Sitting in a pair of chairs were members of the Konoha regular police, the only police force left in Konoha after the Uchiha massacre. Made up of civilians with bare-bones training in subduing other civilians, they had been overshadowed by the Uchiha military police and had tried to replace them, only to be shot down rather firmly by Sarutobi. Several prominent and concerned citizens pretty much controlled the regular police, and he knew that almost all of them hated Naruto for what he carried within him. Today was merely another expression of that hatred. Jiji. Naruto called as he entered, ready to turn the hat over to me yet? Oh ho ho ho. Sarutobi chuckled, sadly no, Naruto-kun. Take a seat. These two gentlemen have some unpleasant news for you. Naruto threw a quizzical look at the two men as he sat down. They were very ordinary-looking people, utterly forgettable faces, average height, and the like. They wore the brown and green uniforms of the regular police and carried the jut of their rank from a hoop on their belts. Uzumaki-san, one of the officers said, a badly concealed sneer concealed in his words, I regret to inform you that someone has broken into your apartment and vandalized it. Again. Naruto sighed, how badly vandalized is it? Every piece of furniture has been smashed to kindling, every wall has rude expletives carved or painted onto their surfaces, all books and scrolls have been urinated upon, and every door and window in the apartment has been smashed as well. The other man recited, whoever carried this out was very thorough. Amen. Naruto groaned, My landlord is gonna be pissed at me for this. Indeed he is, Uzumaki-san, the first man said. He pulled a piece of paper from his pouch and handed it to Naruto. This is a notice of eviction from your landlord, effective immediately. What? Naruto yelped, Amen. Naruto-kun, do you have your wallet? Sarutobi asked, the police claim it wasn't in the wreckage. Gama-chan never goes more than a hand's length away from me, Naruto said as he pulled the toe design wallet from his pocket. Good. That's something at least. Sarutobi nodded before turning his attention to the policeman. Find out who did this or I'll have a new military police force set up within the next month. Understood. Hi, Hokage-sama, the apparent senior man replied shakily before leading his fellow policeman out of the door. Almost immediately, Naruto's cheerful facade sagged slightly as he leaned back in the chair with another sigh. I'll have to go back to the apartment to check if my hidden stash of books and scrolls is among the ruined books, he grumbled. Nico, go to Naruto-kun's former apartment and search it for any hidden books or scrolls. Sarutobi ordered, if you can, try and determine how many people conducted such disgraceful actions against Naruto-kun. Hi, Hokage-sama. I'll depart at once. Nico replied from her hidden position, making Naruto start. He hadn't noticed her entering the room at all. Mentally, he upped his respect for Umbu-level stealth techniques. Now then, Naruto-kun, this presents me with something of a dilemma, as all rentable accommodations in Konoha have registered a disinclination to rent property to prospective tenants who are victims of a campaign of vandalism and discrimination. Sarutobi said with a sigh. The actual phrasing of the landlords' union was that Demon Brat isn't getting into our houses, but Sarutobi saw no reason to tell this to Naruto. I can always camp out, Jiji. Naruto suggested, it would be good practice for fieldwork once I graduate. Sarutobi blinked at that. Naruto did make a good point, but he was not about to send his surrogate grandson out to a field to pitch a tent if he had any say in the matter. An admirable suggestion, Naruto-kun, but I believe several of my Umbu would object to such an arrangement, as well as myself. Sarutobi replied diffidently, as it so happens, there is a block of apartments in my possession that is suited to your needs, but it has not been lived in a considerable length of time, so it will have to be cleaned first. Whereabouts is it? Naruto asked. It's on the edge of the clan district. Sarutobi replied. Oh, you mean the former Umbu HQ? Naruto nodded, prompting three jaws to drop in reaction as Sarutobi and the two remaining Umbu took this in. Naruto-kun, do tell how you know that. Sarutobi asked carefully once he had reattached his jaw. It was a secret. Naruto raised an eyebrow in surprise. Most people in Konoha can tell where Umbu HQ is by the large amount of suspiciously polite, but firm guards saying private residence only to anybody who goes close to the building despite the apartments for rent sign outside the door. Sarutobi felt like bashing his head against the oaken surface of his desk at this. I'll have a word with Umbu Commander Saru about a less obvious cover story. To return to the point, will that building suffice for you? Wait, I get the run of the building. Naruto asked. As nobody lives there, not even a building supervisor, yes. Sarutobi replied, I have a cleaning crew making the building habitable as we speak, but it will not be ready for a couple of hours. Oh. Okay. Naruto nodded, that gives me time to learn the Iwa Bunjin no Jutsu. So you have an earth affinity, the old man inquired. I'm actually a primary wind affinity, sub-earth affinity. Naruto replied. A good pair of elements. Sarutobi approved. Iruka-kun told me you are thinking about buying weapons after graduation. Yeah, a pair of Tanto and a Kodaki. Naruto replied, it's going to cost a lot to buy them though. I just hope I'm not on the same team as Sasuke team after graduation. Oh. Sarutobi invited Naruto to continue. Sasuke team doesn't like me much and I don't really like him all that much either. Naruto explained, and if we're on the same team, we won't get along very well, meaning our Jonin sensei will probably stick to deer ranks and Naruto explained, and if we're on the same team, we won't get along very well, meaning our Jonin sensei will probably stick to deer ranks until we get our teamwork up to scratch, which is to say, never, so it'll take forever to save up enough to buy a half-decent set of weapons. The Hokage nodded in acknowledgement of his surrogate grandson's point. Teamwork was strongly emphasized throughout the entirety of the academy and Naruto was far from stupid. He was a bit slow on the uptake sometimes, but he was more than able to put two and two together. The sad thing was that, regardless of academic standings, Naruto was highly likely to be put on the same team as Sasuke. The Inoshikacho were to be reformed in this generation by the three clan heirs. A tracking team was to be formed comprised of the heirs of the Hyuga, Aburame, and Inyazuka, leaving Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura, and Naruto as a heavy assault team. No other teams were expected to pass the real Genin test. We'll see how things pan out at graduation, the Hokage said aloud. Things are not set in stone as of yet, so do your best and I will be willing to hear who you would like to be teamed up with, as well as the reasons why. Naruto looked confused. Sarutobi decided to elaborate. When graduation rolls around, the academy sensei sends me a list of proposed teams based on compatible abilities and skills. I am also required to consider requests from the parents of students for specific team assignments. He explained, I then gather the Jonin sensei and I have to hear requests from them for specific students they might wish to have included on their teams. The entire thing is then a question of compromise between academy scores, parental requests, the Jonin sensei requests as well as reality. Reality. Naruto frowned. Do you know a tradition about what happens with the Rookie of the Year, top kunoichi and dead last? Sarutobi asked. They're put on a team. Naruto scowled, I'm the dope, Sakura-chan is the top kunoichi and Sasuke team is the Rookie of the Year. How did you find out about that? The old man asked curiously. It wasn't exactly a secret per se, but it was usually concealed from academy students so they couldn't fudge their scores to get on or off a specific team. I heard about it. Naruto shrugged, the civilians were talking about who Uchiha would be teamed up with. Not for the first time, the Sandaime felt like throttling the civilians who had loose lips. Well then, now that you know about it, let us explore the reason for it. The Hokage sighed. The original reason the tradition was started was so that the two students who excelled could help bring up the skills of the dead last. Over the years, it was instituted as an immutable facet of the graduation process, which is a ridiculous thing to do. I can see why it was done the first time, but why is it made a permanent arrangement? Naruto frowned as he considered it. Because it proved to be an effective setup, at first anyway. Sarutobi replied, the first dozen years produced very good shinobi that went on to advance to Chunin and then Jonin. After that the wars interfered. People died too soon, before they had a chance to prove themselves or learn more. The entire system was ultimately proven to work by me. Huh? Naruto looked confused. My students Orochimaru, Tsunade, and Jiraiya, the so-called Densetsu no Sunin, were the most powerful shinobi of their generation. Sarutobi explained, they were strong enough, together, to hold off Sanshou no Hanzo, an S-rank shinobi from a Megakure once they reached Jonin. Whenever I try to abolish the tradition, the Academy points to them as a defense against it, despite Orochimaru's subsequent descent into insanity and betrayal. Wow! The look of amazement on Naruto's face was utterly unfeigned. To apply reality to this situation, it is very rare that three shinobi of such potential are put on the same team, so it is actually a very silly tradition to keep up. Sarutobi continued, moreover, you and Sasuke do not get along. What about Haruno Sakura? What do you think will happen if she is added to the mix as she is now? Naruto knew he was being asked for an honest opinion of her, leaving his crush aside. Sakura-chan will likely fangirl over Sasuke and put me down, hoping to gain Sasuke's approval, he said reluctantly. He liked Sakura, but knew how she would act. He wasn't blind to her faults. I agree that it's a likely scenario. Sarutobi nodded. Now think about how teamwork will suffer with that kind of group dynamic. Not a pleasant scenario, is it? I have got to get my grades up. Naruto moaned. On occasion, the grade angle is ignored in favor of balance. Sarutobi sighed. You may not have noticed, but it is rare that the Rookie of the Year, Top Kunoichi and Dead Last are wholly of shinobi or civilian origin. Still, the consensus is to group those from shinobi clans together as they are generally superior to those from civilian families. There are exceptions, such as Jiraiya, Higurashi Tenten and Rock Lee. I've met Tenten. Naruto nodded. She did mention someone called Lee. Isn't he the one who was given an exemption to graduate despite the fact he can't use nin or genjutsu? Sarutobi noticed the slightly bitter way Naruto said that and internally winced. Aloud he said, yes. He is an exceptional taijutsu user, just as Tenten is well on her way to being an expert weapon mistress, with nigh unparalleled skill with shuriken jutsu. Jiraiya is one of the most powerful shinobi on active duty at the moment and was the person who taught the Yondaime Hokage all he knew. So you see, there is no bias against civilians in Konoha, just a bias against anyone who doesn't pull their own weight. I see. Naruto didn't understand everything, but he gathered the fact that his Jiji was giving him a lesson and strove to try and understand it. What are you suggesting, Jiji? As she is right now, Harano Sakura is a genjutsu/mednin candidate. Sarutobi sighed, that is, if she lives past her first C rank, which is unlikely at the moment. Reading between the lines of the academy reports, her taijutsu is just barely sufficient, her shuriken jutsu is adequate and her skill with genjutsu is impressive. Her chakra reserves are small and she continues to diet, reducing her physical energy compared to her mental energy. This also means she tires easily and thus cannot train for extended periods of time. Naruto was taken aback. Why was the Hokage sharing this with him? Because I have a solution to this problem and I need your help to execute it. The Hokage replied when he voiced this question. Despite her current issues, Harano Sakura is someone who has the potential to be great. A genjutsu mistress, a great mednin, infiltration. There are many possibilities as to what she could be. Are you willing to help me help her? Of course. Naruto nodded. After all his Jiji had done for him, if he could repay him, all he had to do was ask. He saw several small windows appear out of the corner of his eye, but as none of them were a quest window, ignored them for now. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Sarutobi said with a glimmer of pride in his eyes. Now, the situation is this: the person who was responsible for smashing your former apartment's window since you were 7 was a member of the Harano clan, Harano Isuka, who is Harano Sakura's second cousin. Tomorrow after the academy, you will be called for a meeting with me, as well as Harano Mabuki and Sakura, in order to resolve the issue. This is what I would like you to do. Sarutobi outlined his plan and then asked if that would be all right with him. Do you think they'll accept it? Naruto asked doubtfully. Mabuki is not stupid. Sarutobi snorted. For one of her blood relatives to be caught doing this kind of petty crime is a deeply shameful thing. She will allow it so long as the matter goes no further than this and the matter is buried in the depths of the bureaucracy. Okay then. I'll help you out, Jiji. Naruto grinned and forced himself not to jump as Nico appeared from nowhere with a cardboard box tucked under one arm. Hokage-sama, I discovered this box in a secret panel behind where Uzumaki-san's dresser used to be. The Umbu operative reported as she handed the box to Naruto. In addition, I would estimate that at least 3 people were responsible for the destruction of Uzumaki-san's property, although there is no clue as to who they were other than the urine on the decoy books Uzumaki-san left out. Decoys. Sarutobi raised an eyebrow at Naruto at this. My place has been broken into a couple of times before. Naruto replied. Uncomfortably, after the first time, I carved the secret panel out so whenever I left the apartment, no one other than an umbu or a very thorough searcher could find anything I hid in it. Naruto opened the box to reveal his academy textbooks, a couple of photos of him when he was younger with the Hokage at Ichiraku's, as well as the book on intermediate Heikage Taijutsu that he had been given by Iruka. I don't suppose my new clothes were spared? Naruto asked Nico, who shook her masked head. All your jumpsuits and new purchases were shredded to pieces, the umbu replied. I am sorry, Uzumaki-san. It's okay. Naruto sighed. I'll just have to wash the set I have on every day. Wait, let me guess, my appliances are either stolen or broken beyond repair. An accurate guess, Uzumaki-san. Nico replied, there looked to have been gratuitous use of a crowbar or some similar blunt object. All have been smashed beyond reasonable repair. Sarutobi felt a growing anger at whomsoever had perpetrated this crime and resolved to put an umbu team onto investigating it as soon as was feasible. I do believe this revelation upgrades Naruto-kun's status to critical, he said aloud. Nico, kindly inform the work crew at the former umbu HQ that household appliances will also be required. Naruto-kun, I'll give you some money as emergency funds so you can buy some more clothes. You don't have to do this for me, Jiji. Naruto protested as the umbu vanished again. I can handle myself. I do actually, it is under the guidelines for guardians of orphans. Sarutobi replied, even if it wasn't required, I'd still do it because I want you to be happy. I want you to be able to at least relax at home, if nowhere else. Moving you into the former umbu HQ will help with that, as it is still watched by a team of umbu to make sure no one attempts to enter it to find secrets that might have been left behind after the HQ was moved. Jiji. Naruto smiled at his surrogate grandfather. Thank you. 2 hours later, Amekage Apartments. This is an odd set of apartments. Iruka deadpanned. He and Naruto were standing outside the blonde orphan's new home with scrolls full of new clothes, food, and other basic daily accessories secreted about their persons. The academy teacher had been furious when Naruto had told him what had happened to his home and was really tempted to aid the police in their investigation, but he managed to rein himself in and help Naruto with his shopping instead. Their trip to Higurashi's was interesting. Tenten had just shaken her head when Naruto what had happened to his home and clothes before helping him pick out a rather nice wardrobe. He had also updated his address with her so she knew where to deliver his shoulder plate once her father returned from his trip. It had made Iruka quake with fury when Naruto had had to use the henge in order to enter a grocery store without being thrown out, although the part of him that was a teacher appraised the skill with which Naruto used the basic jutsu. Now the teacher and student pair were eyeing the building that was Naruto's new home, and they were not all that impressed. The building was about the average height for an apartment building in Konoha and was a dirty gray color. It was run down, dirty, and the sign above the door had been plundered of a few letters. How much do you think orange paint is, Iruka-sensei? Naruto asked thoughtfully. No. Just no. Iruka said flatly, you are not painting this building orange. It's against the building codes. Naruto just looked at the teacher with an expression that screamed bullshit. Well, it isn't technically against regulations, but loud colors are strongly and strictly advised against. Iruka relented. Anyway, where is your apartment in this place? Same place as my old place, right at the top. Naruto replied and led his sensei into the building. The interior was better than the exterior, but not by much. The carpets in the corridors were worn, the wallpaper peeling off in places, and there was a slight smell of neglect in the air that made the pair's noses wrinkle in disgust. I really hope that the apartment is in better condition than the corridors are, Irika remarked as they climbed the stairs. Gigi said he had people cleaning my new place up as we spoke. Naruto pointed out, that was over 2 hours ago. I think the apartment is probably alright, Irike-sensei. At length, they reached the door of Naruto's new apartment and unlocked it. The two were very surprised to see the wooden floor of the central corridor gleaming like it had been freshly polished. The wallpaper, a plain cream color, was brand new, and the sweet smell of sandalwood tickled Naruto's nose. This is promising, he remarked to his sensei, who nodded. Both of them were impressed by the flat as they toured the place. It was slightly larger than Naruto's old place, and all of the furnishings were brand new and of high quality. The cooker, washing machine, and rice cooker were also brand new, and the cupboards were stuffed full of food and water. I think we're good, don't you think? Naruto asked with a smirk. It's a good thing I didn't bet against you, Irika remarked with a sigh. Benton likes me, Naruto agreed. An hour later. After Irika left, Naruto sat down and read the windows that had popped up while he had been talking with his Gigi. About 3 of them were the same. You diligently paid attention to the Hokage's lecture. Your WIS has gone up by 1. Damn. Looks like listening to Gigi is just as good as going to class. Naruto whistled. Now, what are these ones? You have impressed the Hokage with your analysis of team dynamics and personality analysis. Plus 100 reputation with Sarutobi Hiruzen. You have impressed the Hokage with your willingness to aid your fellow classmates. Plus 100 reputation with Sarutobi Hiruzen. Not bad, he nodded before turning to the quest notification window that had popped up as soon as he closed the last of the other notifications. Tending the cherry blossom, Harano Sakura is an Uchiha fangirl and is gravely neglecting her training. You have been given the chance to bring her to her senses and set her on the path of being a real kunoichi. Quest objective: persuade Harano Sakura and Harano Mabuki to start Sakura down the path of a proper kunoichi. Quest completion reward: plus 1000 EXP, plus 750 reputation with Harano Sakura, plus 2000 Ryo. Quest failure: plus 500 EXP. Accept? Like I'm going to refuse. Naruto grumbled as he hit the Y button. Now then. Let's be having that scroll. Do you wish to learn it? Hell yeah. Naruto stabbed the button with his free hand and watched as the scroll dissolved into blue light and was absorbed into his body. The earth clone or rock clone technique is the most sturdy of the clone jutsu, save for the legendary Mokuton and its Moku Bunshin, requiring a solid hit in a critical location to destroy them. In addition, unlike the other elemental clones, if a IWA Bunshin is destroyed, it breaks into pieces of rock, which can be used for other Doton ninjutsu. IWA Bunshin can only use non-elemental or Doton ninjutsu and is almost as strong as the user. Hand signs: Ram Monkey Horse Ram. When activated, the user spits out a rock, which is then shaped into a clone or clones of the user. The clone will follow the orders of its creator. IWA Bunshin have no mental stats and have the physical stats of the creator of them minus 20%. Minimum number that have to be created, 5. Maximum number that can be created, 10. Costs 75 CP/clone. Awesome. Naruto cheered. Let's try it out up on the roof. One of Naruto's favorite additions that this new apartment was connected to the roof via a door next to the kitchen. On the roof, there were empty flower beds that Naruto itched to plant something in, but restrained himself from doing so for now, at least. Right then the blonde muttered once he was out on the roof, Ram Monkey Horse. Ram. Doton, IWA Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto spat out a large rock which split and turned into 5 exact copies of himself. Whoa! Naruto gaped at the sight of duplicates of himself standing in front of him. This is surreal. Try seeing it from the other side. One Iwa Bunjin retorted, we only have enough chakra to last an hour if we don't use any jutsu. Hey, I'm sorry that you're only a clone, but them's the breaks. Naruto shot back, how the hell are you even replying to me like this? Are Iwa Bunjin supposed to do this? How the hell would we know? Another Iwa Bunjin asked, we have your physical capabilities, not your knowledge of anything but Doton Jutsu, which is a single jutsu. You know we're lucky to even be able to use this jutsu at all. Naruto reminded his clones, the jutsu library at the academy doesn't have anything but E-rank jutsu, and none of them are elemental jutsu. The jutsu section of the actual library would be good, but we can't get in there without that crabby old lady throwing us out. This sucks, another Iwa Bunjin grumbled. That's life. Naruto shrugged. By thinking deep thoughts, your WIS has gone up by 1. Shut up. Naruto growled as he closed the window. And the next day, end of the academy day, final year classroom. Harano Sakura, Uzumaki Naruto. Nico said, appearing just after Iruka-sensei dismissed them for the day, your presences are required by the Hokage at once. What did you do for it? Ino catcalled. Nothing. Sakura retorted, Naruto Baka, what did you do? I did nothing. Naruto replied, a member of the Harano clan broke the law, which is why we have been summoned. We'd better not keep Chiji waiting. Sighed along Shunshin again, Nico-san. This summons does require that method, I am afraid. Nico replied. Sighed along, what now? Sakura asked as she came down to stand in front of the Umbu, more than slightly intimidated by the Black Ops Kunoichi. Shunshin. As in Shunshin no Jutsu. Naruto explained as he moved next to her, you haven't eaten much today, have you, Sakura-chan? No, the pink-et shook her head slowly as she replied pensively. Good. You might throw up otherwise. Nico said bluntly, hold still. She grasped their shoulders and made the three of them vanish in a large puff of chakra smoke. Upon reaching their destination, Sakura began to dry retch at the unfamiliar sensation of the Shunshin. A hand rubbing soothing circles into her back made the vomiting sensation fade to nothing. The pink-et looked up to see a concerned Naruto looking at her before he removed his hand from her back. You okay, Sakura-chan? He asked. Why, yeah, that was really unpleasant though. Sakura replied, ugh, is that what it's like to use the Shunshin no Jutsu? No, merely the after effect of being side along Shunshined. Nico replied, this way please. Sakura then noticed they were in front of the Hokage tower and hurried to follow the Umbu operative, Naruto trotting along in her wake. What's this all about, Naruto? Sakura asked, dropping the baka from his name in the seat of government of the Hidden Leaf Village. You'll find out in a few minutes, Sakura-chan. Naruto replied easily, I will say it is something that the Harano clan will find embarrassing. Sakura frowned. Naruto was being unusually evasive today, any other day he would be falling over himself to tell her what was going on in order to impress her. Now that I come to think about it, he hasn't asked me out in how long has it been? Sakura thought in mild shock, a couple of days, at least. Has he given up on me? Rather than the delight that she had thought she would feel at the prospect, she felt a pang of loss. Sakura was, contrary to her bold and brazen front, rather lacking in the self-confidence front. The frequent taunts and teasing by Ami and her clique regarding her forehead and pink hair as a child had only been made bearable by her friendship with Yamanaka Ino. Then, both of them had started crushing on Uchiha Sasuke and they had become rivals, constantly competing with each other for Sasuke's approval and affections. A small, but persistent, part of her railed at what she had done to her relationship with her best friend. Naruto chasing her had secretly been rather flattering for the pink-et. It had confirmed that yes, in spite of Sasuke's indifference, she was attractive and desirable. This made putting him down and smacking him when he got too persistent a little awkward for her. She had still done it, but every so often the guilt got to her and she had stoically endured his wooing of her in order to assuage it. Caught up in her thoughts, she only realized that they were in front of the Hokage's office when Nico knocked on the door. "Hokage-sama, I have brought Uzumaki Naruto and Harano Sakura, as ordered," Nico said as she entered before vanishing into thin air. Naruto and Sakura entered the office to see not only the Hokage as expected, but also Sakura's mother, Harano Mabuki, the head of the Harano clan. Tall, regal, with short-cut brown hair, and dressed in a red kimono with the white circle symbol of the Harano on the center of her back and over where her heart was, Mabuki was an intimidating sight. What is going on here? Sakura thought in frustration as she opened her mouth to greet her mother and the village leader. With Naruto. Naruto watched as Sakura bowed to his Jiji and greeted him respectfully before doing the same to her mother. Hey Jiji. Naruto added in after she was done, good day, Harano-san. Sakura. Uzumaki-san. Mabuki replied stiffly as she beckoned her daughter over to her side. Naruto walked over to the chairs opposite them and takes a seat as Sakura's mother continues to speak, irritation clear in her voice. Now then Hokage-sama, the children are here. So could you kindly explain why you have summoned us all? I was in the middle of the monthly audit when your Umbu messenger entered my room and delivered your message. The Harano clan was a small civilian clan that had many mercantile interests, Naruto had been told by his Jiji the previous day. Smart and savvy, they had their fingers in a lot of pies throughout Hinokuni. Shops, caravans, auction houses all bearing the circle crest of the Harano clan and taking a hefty share of the profits. They donated generously to the village, contributing 2% of its annual income, which was phenomenal for any civilian clan, let alone one that had less than 70 people in it. At approximately midnight the day before yesterday, Harano Isuka was discovered in the middle of attempting to smash Naruto-kun's window by members of Umbu set to discover who was responsible for the serial vandalism that was being visited upon Naruto-kun's apartment, and she was taken into custody. Sarutobi said firmly, making both Mabuki and Sakura freeze in disbelief as the old man continued. Under questioning by Mitarashi Anko, she confessed to having been responsible for acts of harassment and vandalism against Naruto-kun going back 5 years. What kinds of vandalism? Mabuki choked out, her face white. She smashed my window once, perhaps twice a week for the last 5 years. Naruto answered for the Hokage. Recently she took to throwing rotting dog crap through my window as well. Ugh. Sakura wrinkled her nose at the thought. I had her questioned again this morning based on something Naruto-kun mentioned to me yesterday. Sarutobi said softly, his eyes as hard as flint. She confessed to organizing 2 groups of people to ransack Naruto-kun's apartment 3 and 4 years ago respectively. Under some pressure, she admitted to also organizing the gutting of Naruto-kun's apartment yesterday while he was at the academy. She had arranged it the previous day and has given us a list of people's names, of whom all are now in custody. So then, the charges are multiple counts of harassment, 3 counts of conspiracy to destroy private property, multiple counts of destruction of private property and 11 counts of littering. Although those last ones are non-incremental charges and are thus not included for any reason other than how much damage Harano Isuka has done. The faces of the 2 members of the Harano clan were a picture of a mixture of different emotions. Sakura was shocked, horrified, and dismayed by what her cousin had perpetrated, while Mabuki's face was seemingly blank and unemotional. It would have fooled anyone were it not for the fact that her emerald green eyes were sparking with panic, fear, and anger. She knew of Naruto's burden and had cautioned Sakura to be careful around him. Mabuki had known the Yondaime Hokage and trusted his skill with the little-known art of Fuinjutsu completely, so she knew that Naruto was not the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Still, being careful around him wasn't a bad precaution. Sarutobi Hiruzen had made it known 12 years ago that he would come down like a ton of bricks on anyone found to have harassed or attacked Naruto in way that wasn't a taijutsu spar or playground antics. So proven when half a dozen civilians got thrown in jail for throwing stones at him when he had been 4. Now one of her clan had been proven to have orchestrated a campaign of intimidation and harassment against the boy all of Konoha knew he considered to be his surrogate grandson, and Harano Mabuki was dreading the consequences of that foolish girl Isuka's actions. Naruto-kun never told me about the constant harassment because he didn't want to cause me trouble, Sarutobi said, casting an amused yet stern look at his favorite orphan. I have since talked to him about that and he assures me that any future incidents will be reported promptly from here on out. The question now is what to do about Isuka and the backlash of this incident on the Harano clan. This was what Mabuki was dreading. The shinobi clans of Konoha may put on an indifferent facade to the world regarding one Uzumaki Naruto, but they made their displeasure known at any mistreatment he suffered. When he had been thrown out of the orphanage at the age of 5, an unknown buyer had bought the orphanage from Konoha and had fired all of the staff, replacing them with ex-shinobi who were strict, but firm with kids. Everybody knew it had been a shinobi clan that was responsible, but no one knew which one. The Harano clan depended on hiring Konohagakure shinobi to guard their caravans and supply shipments. If the clans heard about Isuka's foolishness, the Harano might never be able to hire shinobi as guards again, which would force them to hire mercenaries, who were unreliable and far more expensive per man than a shinobi. What is your judgment, Hokage-sama? She asked shakily. Naruto-kun, what do you think? Sarutobi asked his surrogate grandson, who looked thoughtful. It depends on the answer to a couple of questions, I think, Naruto replied before turning to the Harano clan head. Did you know about what Isuka-san was doing to me, Harano-san? No. Mabuki replied tightly, had I been aware, I would have put a stop to it and disciplined Isuka firmly. Sakura-chan? Naruto asked as he turned to his pink-haired crush. I had no idea, she told him honestly. I would have told Oka-san if I knew. Fair enough. Naruto nodded, before looking at the Hokage. Hokage-sama, I don't think letting Isuka-san's crimes known would be a good idea. The Harano clan had nothing to do with Isuka-san's actions. Very well, Naruto-kun. Sarutobi nodded, making the two Harano sag with relief. However, they should have been more aware of their relatives' actions, so they must be penalized for that. Isuka-san is a failed genin candidate and the Harano don't exactly have a clan compound, Naruto pointed out. For all we know she lives by herself. Except she doesn't, Naruto-kun. Sarutobi replied, she lives next door to Mabuki and Sakura's home. The Harano have their own guards patrolling the area, who should have reported any odd movements by a clansman to Mabuki. So long as the shinobi clans know not to repudiate the Harano clan from their lists of clients, I agree to a punishment, Mabuki said stoically, praying that it would not cripple her clan. Naruto-kun? Would you care to declare the punishment for the Harano clan? Sarutobi offered. Isuka's punishment has already been decided upon. She will be fined 10,000 ryo, payable to Naruto-kun in installments, as well as being banned from leaving the village for any reason for the next year, nor may she enter into any contracts on her own name for an equal length of time. She will also be required to check in with her clan leader once a day to give in an itinerary of where she plans on going in the village, why and how long she will take to go there and return. Mabuki winced at that. A financial penalty, house arrest inside the village, reduced to the level of an indentured servant, as well as being forced to outline her day's destinations, reasons for traveling and duration to Mabuki every single day for the next year? Harsh, but more lenient than she had been expecting. Well. Naruto frowned in thought, Sakura-chan's the smartest person in class. Even Sasuke team has to admit that. How about she helps me with the theory work until graduation without pay for 2 hours a day after class? In addition to being forbidden to diet. I need to diet, otherwise I'll get fat. Sakura protested. No, you don't. Nico informed her as the Umbu stepped out of the shadows, making the civilians jump in shock. My apologies, but I cannot keep quiet at this juncture. No one who walks the path of the shinobi needs to diet. The regular training and exercises that shinobi undertake see to that. Eat a balanced diet, yes, but do not cut down on the amount of food you eat. It prevents your body from growing properly and makes you useless in training. Uzumaki-san could easily beat you in a taijutsu spar just by outlasting you. But Sakura looked on the edge of protesting again until Naruto interrupted her. Care for me to prove it, Sakura-chan? He asked calmly, leaving the girl speechless. I don't think that is necessary, Naruto-kun. Sarutobi interjected. I will say to you, Sakura-chan, that Nico is absolutely correct. Dieting is unnecessary for any shinobi. Now, will you accept Naruto-kun's punishment of your daughter serving as his private tutor for the next 7 months in lieu of any fines or other punishments? Mabuki had known that the blonde Jinchuriki had a crush on her daughter and wasn't really surprised he had manipulated things so he could spend time with her. What had puzzled her was why he was insisting on her not dieting. When the Umbu Nico had decreed that shinobi didn't need to diet and been backed up by the Hokage himself, she had figured it out. He was worried. Worried that Sakura's dieting could cripple her career as a kunoichi, cut it short on a mission, and wanted to do something to stop it from getting that far. He simply wanted to help the girl he had a crush on to survive in the world she chose to enter. I agree with the punishment and accept on behalf of my daughter. Mabuki inclined her head slightly. Would tomorrow be acceptable to begin her tutoring sessions? More than acceptable, Harano-san. Naruto replied with a small bow. Okay-san. Sakura yelped. Enough, Sakura. Mabuki ordered. This is an exceptionally generous offer which prevents the Harano clan from being disgraced by the actions of a single rogue member. I will explain everything to you once we return home, but keep your peace for the moment. Sakura quietened down and frowned. Feeling Naruto's gaze on her, she looked into his clear blue eyes. They were unapologetic at what he had just wrought and had a pleading quality to them, begging her to accept that what had been done was for her own good. Geez, he really is too much, she thought with a mental sigh. Smiling crookedly at him, she nodded slightly in acquiescence and was treated to the sight of him perking up slightly at the sign that she didn't hate him. Sarutobi, Nico, and Mabuki noticed this small byplay and swiftly concealed any grins that arose because of it, not that Nico actually needed to, what with the mask and all. Once the two Harano women leave, Sarutobi nods at Naruto approvingly and says, very well done, my boy. It helped that Nezumi-san was holding idiot boards above their heads so I could read them. Naruto replied dryly. A bashful Nezumi appeared with a stack of cardboard rectangles tucked under his arm and muttered, they're called placards. Still, you did well to read them without alerting Sakura and Mabuki to the fact they were there. Sarutobi smirked as he added, even although Nezumi almost dropped one on Sakura-chan's head. Naruto stayed to chat with his surrogate grandfather for a few minutes before heading off, the windows that only he could see floating around him. Double timing it back to his apartment, Naruto whizzed up the stairs and into his room so he could get through the notices from his gamer ability quickly and without people wondering why he was making odd waving notions in midair. Sitting down at his kitchen table, he turned his attention to the first one as he waited for his cup ramen to cook. Damn these 3-minute waiting times. Your kindness bears fruit. Plus 50 reputation with Harano Sakura. If this was the first one, oh. The back rub? Who knew that back rubs were a way to make girls like you more? Go figure. Your mercy becomes you. Plus 500 reputation with Harano Mabuki. Mercy? Oh, not giving them a harsh punishment. Naruto realized, right. What's next? You have received Harano Sakura as a private tutor. Plus 100 relationship with Harano Sakura per every 5 sessions with her, and plus 1 int and WIS for every 2 sessions you use to hit the books and listen to her teach you. Hell yeah. Naruto fist pumped at that. Tending the cherry blossom quest complete. You have started to turn Sakura from the wrong path and have even started to get closer to her. Nicely done. Quest completion reward, plus 750 reputation with Harano Sakura, plus 1000 EXP, plus 2000 Ryo. Alright? This means I only need 700 more reputation with her to get to a neutral relationship with her. Naruto cheered, this rocks. Long-term quest, a cherry blossom in full bloom. You are at the start of a proper relationship with Harano Sakura. Slowly build it up with her and you will meet your goal. Quest objective, successfully woo, romance and seduce Harano Sakura, eventually making her your girlfriend. Quest completion reward, Sakura as your girlfriend. Quest failure, friend-zoned. Accept. Again, like I'd say no. Naruto hit the Y button just before his egg timer rang, signaling that his cup ramen was ready. Itadakimasu. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you liked it, subscribe to my channel for more fanfictions like this, and goodbye.